What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Jordan Syatt, and in this video, I'm gonna review Jake Gyllenhaal's workout in which he got absolutely diced for his role in the movie Roadhouse. Now, I know people are gonna come in and immediately say, steroids, steroids, steroids. I don't know if he did. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. Either way, for him to look that freaking good, he had to work insanely hard. Now, in this video, you'll actually hear his coach say that this was completely unsustainable, and I wanna talk about that later on. So keep in mind, this isn't for the regular person. I just wanna go over what we see in this video, which has over 5 million views, so that you can get a better understanding of what he did, what I disagree with, what I do agree with, and how we can progress moving forward. And play. Very Hollywood movie-esque. Before we even get into the workout, I wanna let you know, this is an 8-minute and 4-second video. This isn't the whole workout. This isn't everything that he did. It looks like they're showcasing one workout and maybe even parts of that. This is not everything that Jake Gyllenhaal did. Important to keep in mind.
Trying to get the core body to mature up before moving into some sort of mobility, which you see here with the stick, which is a great tool to help increase range of motion.
I love this not just because he's doing mobility and having a warm-up, which is super important and most people just skip it entirely, but also because the suggestion they had in the video was fantastic, that if you don't have these sticks, you can do stretches with bands or body weight or literally anything you have. You don't need a big fancy gym and equipment to have an effective workout, effective warm-up, get stronger, more flexible, any of that. And I do love that he's doing mobility, especially for his role as a fighter. You need amazing mobility as a fighter. So this is already very, very good.
The proteus is an amazing piece of equipment used mostly by performance centers to help train athletes in every plane of motion and also to help increase power production. We use it primarily for priming the nervous system, proprioception, learning movement patterns, and a lot for warming up joints and metabolic training.
So something like the proteus is a very good piece of equipment for a very small percentage of the population, and also for a very small percentage of the movements and exercises you should be doing. You'll notice that they're just doing a couple exercises on this, and it is a very expensive piece of equipment. Very expensive, very big. I don't know anybody who has this in their gym personally. I only know one professional facility that has this at their gym, and it's great because they work with professional baseball players, just like they said, professional athletes. You do not need this. And like they said in this video, if you don't have this, you can use bands, you could just use shadow boxing, you could do body weight stuff. I personally like using landmine stuff. You could do landmine rotations, landmine overhead presses. There's a lot that you can do to mimic this. You don't need this outrageous machine in order to have an effective workout or to prime your nervous system.
Isometrics are a staple here at Rise Movement. We use them all the time to help increase strength and stamina at different joint angles.
This exercise in particular, they're literally just doing an inverted row, but instead of going up and down, they're just holding isometrically. It's great. It's great for fighters specifically, and it really does look like they're training him to be a fighter since that's his role. It's also good for grip strength. It's good for your back strength. It's good for posture. It's really, really good. It's a wonderful exercise.
Most of the sets that we do are time sets. We try to keep his work capacity up, keep him moving.
Really quick, a time set just means he's not doing a certain number of reps, not 6, 8, 10, 12 reps. It's just sets the clock for 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, whatever his time is, and that's how long the set goes.
Keep him sweating, keep burning fat. We still want the heavy stimulus.
I want to talk about that for a second. He's talking about how he wants to keep him moving, keep him sweating, and keep burning fat. This is something that either a coach will say when they don't know what they're talking about, or when they're trying to get people to believe in what they're talking about. I don't know this coach personally, but he knows what he's talking about. This guy's a very smart coach, I can tell. A lot of times when people hear someone say it burns fat, this exercise burns fat, they think in their mind that that exercise will literally cause body fat to drop off their body. That's not how it works. Later in this video, he talks about Jake's nutrition, which he even says was completely unsustainable. That's why he got shredded. It wasn't from doing sled pushes or pulls or crawls, which by the way, these are all amazing exercises. They don't burn body fat.
We always keep the heavy primitive work one way, shape, or form, whether it's squats or deadlifts. And the variations thereof, we want to keep the muscle coordination at a high.
I love that he has him doing heavy work, whether it's squats, deadlifts, bench press, overhead press, chin-ups, lunges, doesn't matter. I love that he's doing heavy work. You can see he's doing 3 to 4 sets of 6 to 8 reps. Amazing. He's really working him and pushing him hard. He keeps calling things primitive, and I don't know why he references that a couple times throughout the workout. It's just movement. That's all it is. And I don't know if that's like a word to try and get people's attention or make them think it's cooler than it is. It's just a fucking squat. And it's a great squat, and it's a great set and rep range, and I'm super glad he's doing it heavy. I don't know why he keeps calling it primitive though.
Grip work is essential, as it seems to be one of the limiting factors in the gym. We pepper in various exercises to keep grip tight.
I would say grip work is essential, but it's not something most people need to actually work on their own, and it's also definitely not how he got fucking shredded for this role at all. Grip work is great, it's very important. A simple way to work grip is to simply do something like rows or chin-ups or farmer's walks. You don't need specific drills like this just to work your grip. I think it's something that is way overplayed right now. And what he's doing is fantastic, it's a great exercise, but it's not needed, and it's definitely not how he got this physique.
Here we see some examples more relatable to MMA training, keeping the body in check with offset loading and movements more imperative to sport.
Amazing exercise. He's doing it with a punching bag. You don't need a punching bag. You could do it with dumbbells, you could do it with kettlebells, you could do it with a barbell. I do like the offset loading here, and what that means is he's just basically holding the weight on one side. So it forces your other side to really stabilize and work well. It's a great thing for everybody, not just athletes, but overall this is a great drill. I would imagine he's doing the punching bag either for the camera or just because he's just looking for a big piece of extra heavy loading. Maybe he didn't have sandbags or something. So this is something he's doing. They're calling them bag jump overs, and it says that they build agility and core strength, which they do. I like this. It's not for his body. This didn't build or sculpt his physique. This is actually more of a specific drill that he would need for his role as a fighter. This is something that a lot of jiu-jitsu practitioners and wrestlers will use in their training, and since he's playing a fighter, he would need this drill in order to improve his ability to look like he knows how to fight. This, again, it doesn't sculpt your body. This is just a really great specific drill to look like he knows how to fight.
The diet part of this is really critical for maintaining and looking a certain way. It's not something that's sustainable, but it can be done with the right people in place. There's a big team that helped get us through this.
Okay, number one, there is a big team that helped him get through this. And I'll say, I love that this coach is being super honest about it. This is, number one, not sustainable, like he said, and number two, they had a big team around him. So I want people to be very aware, when you're looking at someone like Jake Gyllenhaal, who's in this movie, whether it's for the photo shoots or actually in the film, and he's looking diced to bits, everything was focused around that. This was his entire job, was to look this certain way. He had a team around him, he had nutritionists, I'm sure he had chefs, he had his own personal coaches. Everything was built around this. Not to mention, I don't know how much he got paid for this role, but when you have that much money in order to look and perform a certain way, you're gonna act completely differently than when you're a mom or a dad and you have a regular day job, or you're a college kid, whatever it is you are. If you don't have all of that at stake, then odds are you're not going to be able to achieve the same results. And I don't want that to come across as like it's not worth trying. It's just being realistic. It's important for you to know that if you don't look like he looks, it's not because you're a failure. It's because he has every single possible advantage that he could have, and also understanding, just like the coach said, it's not something sustainable. It's not something that even Jake could be able to sustain even with all of these advantages. So it's important to give yourself a realistic mindset.
You can have a great trainer, a great program, great team. None of this matters if you don't have the right person to do it all. Jake did the work. He earned it. He deserves it. I respect that.
So they're showing chain push-ups here. Chain push-ups are a great exercise. They had a little note come up that said chain push-ups are a great chest finisher. Chain push-ups, especially for a video like this, they just look cool. Chains are a great tool to add. The main benefit here is, as you can see him doing the push-up, as he comes up and more chains come off the ground, it gets heavier and heavier and heavier, so it gets more difficult. Whereas as he goes lower, the chains unload, so it's not as heavy anymore. So there's a time and a place for it. You could just do regular push-ups, or if you want to do a weighted push-up, you could put a weight on your back. There's nothing special or unique about the chains, and I've been in this industry long enough, and I've done enough photo shoots, and I've known people who do photo shoots enough to know that a lot of photographers and videographers just say, let's just put the chains on because it looks cool, not because it's actually that beneficial.
Cross-lateral loading is very important to all sports, especially to MMA fight training. These come in various forms, but this is one of my favorites.
This is a great exercise, and he's absolutely right. Cross-lateral loading is super important, not just for athletes and fighters, but for everybody. I would not start someone on this drill. Jake is clearly a higher level advanced trainee, so he knows what he's doing. He's doing this appropriately. This is a pretty difficult exercise, and I'm actually very impressed with Jake's ability to do it. Throughout this video, he's shown he's lifting pretty substantial weights, and this is showing he has a lot of coordination. So he's starting from a really, really great place, and I want you to know, like, you don't have to do something like this or this advanced in order to get the same benefits of cross-lateral loading.
Followed by my favorite, some primitive climbing sprints to finish him off.
There's that word primitive again. I don't know what that meant.
This is Jake and I right before the UFC weigh-in in Las Vegas. Taking a little bit of sugar, get a lot of reps in, push-ups, sit-ups, and voila. The muscles swell up and look full.
Did you just hear that? He literally just told you. This is fantastic. And again, I love how honest he's being. Before the weigh-in for this movie, in order to mimic what a weigh-in looks like before a UFC fight. You go out, you're shirtless, and you want to look freaking awesome. And he's saying that in order to look the way that he looked at that specific moment, they gave him sugar, they got a pump going, they did some extra pump work, and then voila, all of a sudden he looks fantastic. He looks different. Not to mention the down lighting that is on top of him in order to change his shape and to really highlight certain muscles and to make him look a certain way. Not to mention whatever editing was done in post, but just to make him look a certain way in that specific moment, which will be probably one of the most, if not the most used pictures of him to show how shredded he was. It's so important to be aware that just because he looked a certain way in a certain scene or in a certain image doesn't mean that he's gonna look like that all the time. And again, I'm hammering this home, but like he said earlier, this wasn't even sustainable as is. So keep in mind, just for this one scene, this one image, they manipulated his nutrition, they manipulated his training just to make him appear a certain way at that moment in time.
I worked with Jake for years prior. I knew he had what it was going to take to make this plan work. The amount of dedication, discipline, consistency, and hard work, the mental fortitude, the level of patience it was going to take. Unless you've trained like this, you just don't understand. To take the long road, to take the hard road, to take the high road, to do this clean, no shortcuts. But what you earn, what you gain along the way by taking these roads is unlike anything else. It's yours. You built it, you earn it.
So it's a little bit more of like a motivational speech at the end. What I did like before what he was talking about is how dedicated he was, how patient he was, how consistent he was, the mental fortitude he had for this. In order to look like that, in order to be that lean and also be that strong, it takes a tremendous amount of willpower and dedication, far beyond what most people are willing to do and far beyond what I think anyone really should do outside of a role like this for a movie, for a show, for something he's getting a huge payday for. The average individual watching this, it creates a very skewed idea of not what's possible, because of course it's possible, but what's realistic for you. If you're comparing yourself, mother, father, college kid, worker, whatever it is, like an everyday person, if you're comparing yourself to a professional actor who this is their entire job, it's unrealistic and it's gonna do more harm than good. I love how honest this coach is being, and I love how forthright he is with saying Jake is a different breed, in that like the amount that he was able to stay consistent with this is not for the faint of heart.
Hey guys, I hope this was insightful and gave you a little peek behind the curtain of how we trained Jake for Roadhouse. This was a very long process, took well over a year from start to wrap.
So we'll finish with that. At the very end, he just says it took well over a year to look like that. Well over a year. Most people that I know don't even stick to a program for 4 fucking weeks, right? Well over a year, and I would imagine for this year, Jake's nutrition was fucking dialed for the year. Next time, like you're thinking, oh, I don't know why I'm not making progress. I don't know why this isn't working. Like, I want you to be very honest with yourself and blunt. Like, how long have you been consistent? Has it been a week? Has it been 2 weeks? Because most people aren't consistent for a fucking month, never mind over a year. For Jake to be doing this, I mean, huge props to him. I know people are gonna come in with the steroid comments. I don't know if he was. There's a good chance he was. There's a good chance he wasn't. Either way, for him to be able to look like that, he had to put in an immense amount of work. Huge props to him. Huge props to his coach. Huge props to his whole team. They did a fantastic job, and frankly, huge props to Men's Health for this video, because they actually did a really good job. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you don't already, and if you would like me to help you with your nutrition and help you understand what's a sustainable calorie deficit, a sustainable amount of calories for you to eat in order to lose fat and maintain that fat loss, I have a free calorie calculator for you. The link is in the description of this video. Make sure you grab that. Have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you soon.